Bandhan Mutual Fund presents MF Corner.
Hello and welcome to the special edition of Mutual Fund Corner, YouTube edition. Thank you so much as always for tuning in here. Today what we're going to be discussing is going to be interesting. While we've spoken about how SIPs are good for you, you should be investing in SIPs, which funds also we have spoken about. But then you have options, right? Daily, monthly, weekly. Now, which one should you go for? Which is beneficial? What is better for you? To talk to us about all of that, we're going to be joined by Kshitiz Mahajan, co-founder at Complete Circle Consultants, joining in with us to talk to us about that. Kshitiz, thank you so much, as always, for removing time for us. Interesting topic, right? While we talk about saying SIPs, yes, you should invest in SIPs. Sometimes even I don't know, and it's so confusing whether I should go for this daily option, weekly option, or monthly option. So let's just start with key factors that an investor should consider when deciding whether they should be going for daily, weekly, or monthly.
Good morning, Vinnii. Always a pleasure to be with you on this show. And, this is something which keeps coming back to us again and again, that when should I put my money? So just to make it simple, I'll answer this. Whenever you have your money in your bank, just do your SIP. It's like if you are salaried, then initial, let's say, first week of the month, if you have a business and you have some time frame in which you draw money out of your business, then, maybe 3-4 days next, you can actually look at doing SIPs. So we did some analysis. In fact, I took some data points on this daily, weekly, and monthly. And if you look at BSC, TRI, which is Total Return Index, over the last 28 years, so it hardly, has created a lot of difference if you have opted for a daily, weekly, or monthly SIP. And, the important chapter here is that you should be participating rather than just staying out. So take, for example, somebody is doing 1,000 rupees SIP daily or a weekly, commitment amount so that he can reach the same amount of SIP, let's say 22,000 if there are 28 holidays in a week. And then you're doing a monthly SIP also. So differences of some bips only. So difference is not much. Some in one case, which is daily, is around 14.51% over a period of, let's say, 28 years. Weekly is around 14.53%, and monthly is around 14.50%. So it hardly matters whether you do daily, weekly, or monthly. Important is that you should participate and don't miss on it. Important is you should cross that 14% barrier by participating into equity through a disciplined manner. And this is how this chapter works.
Okay, Kshitiz, surely, you're saying that it doesn't make much of a difference. Participating in the long run, that is the most important thing. But, is there something, because I'm talking about this, why specifically, given that we've seen these markets being so volatile right now. So at such a time, then does it make sense to choose something like a daily SIP versus a monthly SIP in terms of cost averaging or market timing? Does that make more sense right now?
Vinnii, in fact, you see, the very purpose of SIP is to gain from a falling market. So when market is actually inching up, you, let's say, are doing 10,000 rupees SIP, and your NAV has started from 10, and because the market has moved up, has become 12, you're getting less units. But when market is falling, with the same 10,000 rupees, you're getting much more units. So the benefit of SIP is a falling, you actually get the real benefit of SIP in a falling market. Let's say you started investing a lump sum money. You invested a lump sum money in April 2020 when market started recovering from bottom of COVID fall, and you are doing a SIP from April 2020. Until July last year, you have seen that your lump sum money has outperformed your SIP by a margin, a big margin. But now is the time when you see your SIP started contributing to you eventually, because if you initially are doing your SIPs in a market which is correcting, or market which is a little bearish, then the gain is really huge, because you should target on the number of units which you are accumulating in your SIP, rather than just looking at what type of return you will take in these markets. These are not a market to look at the return part. If you actually, then there is a science and there is a math which says that initial 5 years, if any fund which has delivered less than 8% return because of market being bearish, over a period of long-term 10-year plus, it has delivered more than 17-18% return. Wherein somebody which is more than 8% and then market started falling and again recovered, it's around 14.5-15%. So the real benefit of SIP comes from a falling market. So I like to disagree with the argument that you should keep on looking at a daily or maybe try to time the market because markets are little a little choppy and they are not in the right mood. I'm not saying bearish, but yeah, it's correcting. So I think this is a time when you should, if possible, step up your SIP. If possible, add on to these levels. And if you really don't want to do that, please don't touch your SIP. Just keep things going. Keep on reviewing your portfolio as and when is the right time, maybe half-yearly or a yearly basis. Otherwise, just stay put and keep doing your SIPs.
Stay put, keep doing your SIPs, that's the word there. For a new investor also, does that make a difference as well? Like if they're just entering, the mutual fund side, would you recommend maybe monthly, weekly or daily, or does it depend on maybe their goals or the financials that they have currently?
For anyone who's coming in new, I think this is a very good time because it's like Black Friday or sale on the street. So if you and I were doing our SIPs since last 2-3 years, what type of money which we were putting at let's say 26,000 Nifty level, he's putting at 21,000, no, let's say, sorry, 22,500 levels. So he's getting much more value for the money which he's putting in. So I will always recommend that. I can tell you that I do a monthly SIP for myself. I can say that one can look at doing a monthly SIP because it hardly matters. The best way, why I always say that whenever you have some money coming to you on a monthly basis, let's say your expenses part are also there. First of all, on the take-home salary or take-home withdrawals from a business, you should just invest. So you should not be worried about if you're doing a, let's say, weekly SIP or let's say a daily SIP. You should not be worried about how you are going to manage the amount in last week or last 2 weeks. So it's always good to do a monthly thing, and in the first 7-8 days, that's what I like to do, because then you are not stressed about your investment part. Okay, it's been taken care, and then your expenses, and then the wants part come. That investment is taken care, need is taken care, and now the want part. So if investments will keep on lingering on till 30th, or let's say till last week, sometime in fact, I can tell you from my example, I used to have some SIPs which going on last week, and sometimes I used to see that, oh yeah, I don't have that buffer which I can participate with this type of SIP. So it's better that I should have the same discipline going in the first week itself. If you can manage it well, then it's a different case. But believe me, it has not created much of a difference. There's a 28 years study which is done by White Oak Mutual Fund over BSc TRI. Hardly any difference, about 14.51. In fact, if you keep on doing any day, let's say you pick any day in the market, if you keep on doing SIP Vinnii, then again the difference is between 15.3 to 15.7% only. So hardly matters whether you do daily SIP or weekly SIPs.
Okay, right, absolutely. And do you think that this frequency, suppose I've decided that maybe I'll do weekly or monthly, whatever I've decided on, is it some time that one should periodically revisit this as well, or maybe just stick to it? Like, or is there an option that if I've been doing monthly, I can go in for a weekly also in the middle if I do have extra funds? Is that an option there?
So the review is about your asset allocation part, and maybe if you have some powder dry on your side, you can just top up the existing SIPs. Otherwise, I don't say you have to do any review in terms of whether you should keep on changing the frequency. Yes, with the same fund, if you're doing a monthly SIP, you can opt for a weekly or a daily SIP also with some additional flows. You can do that also. But again, interestingly, Vinnii, if let's say you pick if you pick worst day of any every month, let's say you're picking worst day of every month and you're doing a SIP which is on the worst day, then the return over last 28 years, let's say every month we have done your input value has gone on the worst day, the return over a period of time is around 14.3%. If you have taken, let's say 15th every month, the return is around 14.5%. If you have taken the best day, then the return is around 14.8%. So all I'm saying is, if you have time on your side, that's it. And again, I'm saying equity investing is not less than 5 years, and 5 years is not long term. Long term is more than 10 years because you start getting benefit of compounding after you cross 10 years. So let's say if you compound in 15%, this is just an example. You make double your money in 5 years, you make 4 times in 10 years and 8 times in 15 years. So the benefit will come over a period of time. So, over a period of time, it hardly matters whether you choose the best day or the worst day. The problem is that when you sit on the sideline and don't invest and keep on waiting for the right correction. So that will never come.
Okay, Kshitiz, thank you so much, for this conversation as well. Doesn't matter when you invest, as long as you're investing and sitting with it for a long term, your benefits are going to be there. And whether it's daily, monthly or weekly, not much of a difference in terms of the returns that you will be getting. Right? I hope I rounded that up well, Kshitiz, from what you've spoken about.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Kshitiz, for that. And thank you so much for joining in with us as well, viewers, for this edition of Mutual Fund Corner on YouTube.
Bandhan Mutual Fund presents MF Corner.